That's from Ozzy Osbourne. Hey, we're live. I think the first words that came out of my mouth were Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Welcome to the show that will not have anything included in it with Ozzy Osbourne related. But we're just, like always, hit the live button a little early. Welcome in some folks before we go live on the actual network and get to sharing. Try and share this feed. This is I forgot to make that banner this time.
Oh, yeah.
Add that. Yeah, go to the On and Off the Field page and the RTF page and share this link. Share the crap out of it. As I am doing right now, or at least trying to do.
Just
News feed. Share the feed and watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
If you don't share the feed, I'll hunt you down. I have a very specific set of skills. We got our first comment. Hi, Dylan.
Man.
What's going on? It's my old Pulaski buddy there.
Oh, nice.
We're supposed to play Call of Duty tonight, but
oh yeah.
Well, we probably will later after we jump off of this, but still.
Yeah.
I think I gotta share it to one more page. Then we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I can't. I think haven't played Call of Duty in probably 6 years. I was just never good at it, so I just kind of.
So yeah, gave it up.
Yeah, I stuck to the Madden.
Oh yeah.
Any kind of racing games, all the Lego games, like the Lego Marvel.
Lego games are fun.
Those are so much fun.
Yeah, Caitlin likes those too.
The Star Wars ones are really good, but I last one I played was the Marvel one. That was really good.
Say Mario one?
No, Marvel. Sorry.
Oh, Marvel.
Yeah. Sorry,
I was typing at the same time, so it was kind of like it was just a disaster there.
If they made a Super Mario one, that'd be
interesting.
Interesting because it's already like that 8-bit, 64-bit style. Mario
breaking down the 18-bit into something else. 18-bit into 32-bit, or is that getting bigger? You gotta get smaller or bigger? Yeah, it was smaller.
Smaller pixels, more detail.
So we'll go from like 18 to 9.
Yeah, make it nice and blocky.
Won't be able to see nothing. We're counting down the seconds here till when we go officially live. Oh, we're going live. All right, here we go. Everybody ready for the fun to begin?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. And we're live officially on the RTF Sports Network. You can, if you're listening on Spreaker from the RTF Sports Network, welcome. And for those following on us on Facebook, on the On and Off the Field page and the RTF Sports Network Facebook pages, welcome to the stream. We're super excited to have everybody here. Make sure you share the crap out of this. Whatever group you're in, share it to your own page, share it to your mom's page, your dad's page, share it to everything. Just make sure you get the word out there. That's what we're trying to get better at, I think. Try and put some more eyeballs on the screen.
Yeah.
But you are live with On and Off the Field. So we got some things to throw out there for our warm up, our news, what's going on with the show. So normally we only say make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, but now you have to go follow us on YouTube.
Yeah. Click that subscribe button.
Yes, that is key. We already have like 5 subscribers, I think.
Nice.
I think I know who all of them are, but still, that's besides the point.
Hey,
you gotta go subscribe on YouTube because our Tuesday episodes that are now going to be videoed are going to be put on YouTube. So you get the uncut. So if we go over an hour, we have to edit things to put it on the network. But on YouTube, you can get the full hour, 30 minutes, whatever the show goes. It'll be a great time for you. It'll be extra detailed. A couple of things that we might have to cut out So make sure you go do that, subscribe and like and comment and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just On and Off the Field on YouTube. Just look up the channel. Very simple. But if you don't want to go through all the struggle of trying to find it, you can just go to onandoffthefield.com. I added the YouTube page to our little bar at the bottom of our social media links on the website. So you could just do that. That's super easy. We are still doing our Feeding America fundraising page from onandoffthefield.com. Yeah. You can also listen to all the past shows. All the podcasting platform links are on there, as well as the live feed video on Thursdays are posted on the website, but they'll also be put on the YouTube channel as well. And here's the disappointing news, at least for now, the Patreon page is dead. It's dead in the water. We kind of killed that so we could move it to YouTube. So we're going to still raise money for Feeding America some way, somehow. We're going to figure it out. But right now, everything's just going to be heading to YouTube. Last but not least, the RTF Sports Network. Amazing. Absolutely just an amazing network with a bunch of growing talent on there. We're going to be heading over to all these different platforms and lots of exciting stuff. I don't know if I'm allowed to tell you about it. I don't know where we kind of sit with that, but things are happening. So go to rtfsportsnetwork.com. You can subscribe on there. You can go to Facebook and follow them. A lot of blogs are coming out, live videos on the daily. Just before us was Sal with To Be Blunt, which is like a great show. They have a lot of fun over there. And Twist won show of the month last month. Yeah, that's another great show. We love hanging out with those guys. They gave us our new logo. He did that for us. Just great. So I think that's all of our news for warming up, at least. Yeah. So we can get started with the official show of On and Off the Field. Da-da-da.
Oh, do you want to get fired up now or later?
You know what? I'm fired up.
All right.
Yeah, I need to get this off my chest or it'll just bother me through the rest of the show. So let me just put up the banner so people might know where I'm heading with this. If you already follow On and Off the Field or RTF Sports Network on Facebook, you saw my live video from earlier. What was it, yesterday, I think? There was a report that came out via Chris Sims that Dak Prescott refused or denied an offer of $175 million for 5 years. That's what they offered him, and he said no. So everyone was blowing him up on social media. Why the heck are you not taking $35 million a year? You've won one playoff game. You don't lead in any stats. You're not better than Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, some of these other quarterbacks that deserve that money. So, but he wants more. He wants $45 million for his fifth year or something crazy. These are all the things that are coming out now due to Chris Sims' report. So today, at about probably 3:50 is when I saw it. Yeah. Ian Rappaport tweeted out, Chris Sims basically lied to the NFL world. That was a fake report. Dak Prescott's agent and his camp came out and said no deal like that was ever offered. They didn't deny anything like that. Nothing like that was ever even discussed. The major thing that they're working out over there, according to Dak Prescott's people, is he wants a shorter deal and the Cowboys want a longer deal. Right. I'm not getting into the details of Dak Prescott's contract, what he should get. I don't care about that. I'm focusing on Chris Dummy Sims. This isn't even, he didn't name a source because he didn't have one because this was fake news. He just comes out. If you don't know anything about Chris Sims, if you don't watch him on his other shows, he's just a hot take machine. He'll come out here and say Deshaun Watson's the best quarterback in the NFL. He comes out here and says he has the best deep ball in the NFL. Although Patrick Mahomes and Russell Wilson still exist, he thinks Deshaun Watson's the best thing since sliced bread, which is obviously just a stupid take. He's talented, but he's not the best. He's just full of stupid things. He just says things to get attention. So when that's not enough, he comes out here and just blatantly lies to everyone. Hey, Dak said no to this amazing offer. People talk about it. Please pay attention to me and my news, but it was fake. How will you get away with this stuff?
Oh.
And it's not even like, it wasn't even like a close rumor of maybe, you know, I heard that they're offering him 5 years and something, but he said no. He gave specifics. He said no to 175 for 5 years. He said that's what it was. That's what he said no to. And Chris Sims had none of that was proven. That was all stupid lies, and he should be stripped of his social media rights for like 3 months. Just go away. You're just blatantly lying your job.
Oh, yeah, that's not good. I mean, yeah. I mean, we saw this with Jay Glazer, though. What, a month and a half ago now? When he like got all hyped up, he's like, I got some breaking news for you tomorrow, and he gets everybody going online and watches clip there, and he's like, oh yeah, this Rams guy had COVID. Like, what are these guys doing? They're clearly bored.
At least that was true.
Well, yeah.
I get it that this is a very slow period of time for news. And if Chris Sims wants to come out and say, I think, or I heard that they might offer him 5 years, something else.
Right.
He reported this as fact. At least Jay Glazer had news. Did he hype it up unfairly? Yes.
Right.
Because it was not that big a news. This was just a blatant lie. And that infuriates me. Like, what if we started the show with, hey, my phone's going off. Hey, oh, guys, Russell Wilson has been traded to the Jaguars for Gardner Minshew and a 5th-round pick. If I came on my show and I just said that, Russell Wilson's going to the Jags for Minshew and a 5th-round pick. That's what he did, basically.
Yeah.
Except it wasn't something that like literally happened, like an actual move in the NFL.
Right.
It was just a contract offer, but it's still a lie.
Right. Oh,
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. See.
So I think I might have got that off my chest.
That's good.
Yeah. I did my live video earlier, and now I got to light him up again. Chris Sims, if you ever watch this and you disagree with any of my points, please let me know. Please come and correct me if I have brutally abused your name in some form or fashion. But I don't think I have. I think I was quite fair. Chris Sims.
Oh.
It's a name that I'll always hate no matter what.
Oh, must be a Chris thing on the NBC network.
Who's the other one?
Chris Collinsworth.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's another one. NBC has got to work on its talent, or at least keep their crew under control, I think.
Well, yeah. I mean, they have Al Michaels, and Tony Dungy's doing a pretty good job, I think, with them. But yeah, they have I feel like it's very hit and miss with them.
Yeah, I could talk about Chris Sims all night because I was going to say, I can keep talking about him. He's always on Dan Patrick's show. Dan Patrick likes Chris Sims for some reason. He's on there almost constantly. And he'll go on Dan Patrick, and Dan Patrick will say something that's general knowledge, that this person's the best at this position, whatever the case may be, or this team won't be that good this year. Let's say Dan Patrick says the Texans might go 8-8. Chris Sims will come out and be like, "Oh, well, they still have this. As long as they have Deshaun Watson, they'll be 13-3. They don't DeAndre who?
Oh, jeez.
Who is D Hop? No, they don't need it. All they need is Deshaun. Deshaun made D Hop. That's what he would do. That's basically Chris Sims in a nutshell.
Oh boy.
We should probably move on before we should run out of time. Yeah. Sorry about that, everyone. Got a little out of control. So basically, coronavirus is still a thing. COVID-19 is still a thing. And what hit the news today was, I don't know if this is college football and the NFL trying to, get people to feel sorry for them, or maybe like, hey, this is what's going to happen if we don't allow fans back or if something happens to the season. But college football came out and said they will lose about $4 billion if fall sports are canceled. That's with college football. That's with, cross country, whatever other fall sports you have in college. But that's everything. And then the NFL followed that up with, hey, if we have the season and just have them without fans, we're looking at a $5.5 billion loss. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just don't.
That's the risk they take of a business. Like, that's
right.
They have to come up with something else in order to recoup that money. Like, it's going to be tough. You're not going to have fans.
There's small businesses losing everything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, even around
small
here,
business owners have lost everything. $4 billion for college football, or just for college sports in general, and then 5.5 for the NFL. They can write a check for that and hand it off to some bum, and that's probably less than 10% of their overall wealth.
Oh, probably.
I mean, I don't feel bad. I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't. What I feel bad for is if there's no fans, that's concession stands that aren't in business, and that's people that don't have jobs working in those stadiums this season coming up.
Absolutely.
Those are the people I feel bad for. And some of these stadiums are still going to pay those players. I think it might have been the Ravens for the upcoming season. I could be talking out my butt, but I think it was the Ravens that said no matter what, they're going to pay their normal people that work there.
Oh, that's good.
Their wages for the season, yeah. So
hopefully
you'd like to think everyone would do that. I think didn't Roger say he wasn't going to get a paycheck? Wasn't that a thing a long time ago?
Wasn't that like a month and a half ago or so? He said
he wasn't taking something, or he was taking a pay cut.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be curious to see how long it lasts with him. Like, when does he start to get quote unquote tight with his money, without taking a paycheck? But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to be interesting to see what colleges do with this loss, especially with all these kids going to college next year or the year after that. Like, tuition could jack way up, which is very unfortunate if they're going to try and get greedy and cover and recoup these losses through academics, which I think is total BS. And makes me glad that I'm on. You could see it, and it makes me glad that I graduated a long time ago.
Yeah, I think the overall thing here is I pray that money does not get in the way of common sense here, because we need fans, we need this, we need money, so they bring back students so they can have their seasons. And then I hear a couple of things today about, especially coming out of Ohio State, they said we would plan on, if there's football, we're planning on having 20 to 50K fans in the stands. Normally they hold like over 100K.
Yeah.
But we'll fill up like half or less of the stadium still just to make some money. So you're really going to put people's, I know there's a lot of people out there that think this is a whole bunch of nonsense and, people will still go to games, but the fact that you would put people in harm's way for money's sakes, this is all comes back to money. You can't, if they would be lying out their butt if they walked up to me, people in charge of college teams, saying this isn't about money. Yeah, it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Don't, especially when you come out and make a statement like this saying we'll lose $4 billion. You made that statement. That's obviously your concern.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, just to kind of touch back to the Ohio State detail here, the athletic director for Ohio State yesterday quoted saying that they were going to minimize it down to like 30,000, 35,000 was going to be their max capacity. And then he came out today and tweeted that, oh, no, it's actually closer to 22 based on current guidelines. I'm like, quit lying about this. Why are you trying to over promote your college and say that you're going to have fans in the stadium? Yes, the players are going to start voluntary workouts in a couple weeks, But I just don't see the college football season playing out like it normally does. It's just not going to be good.
And it especially goes with, I think we talked about it last week or maybe the week before. There's been a lot of talk about there's some colleges that I think Jameson kind of touched on it. I don't know about being forced to close permanently. I didn't hear anything like that myself. But the point there is some colleges plan on maybe not playing this season, and that messes with divisions. Let's say, is it the Big Ten or something, or that Michigan, Ohio State are in, Michigan State.
Michigan State, Penn State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, yeah.
And you have Rutgers over here. Rutgers gets pooped on every year. Let's say they don't have a season, but now you're missing a guy in your division. I mean,
right.
It's like you kind of touched on. See, these seasons just aren't going to play out like normal. For a fact there's going to be some colleges that don't open, maybe based off of state guidelines. Maybe it's just a decision strictly from the college that maybe they don't open. And then that's going to mess with the season.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, we're still a few months out, but I mean, a lot of athletic directors, I guess, had a meeting yesterday from what I saw this morning. They were saying they're going to need at least 6 to 8 weeks before the season starts in order to be ready. And that's coming up soon. We're 3-4 weeks out from that, and it's going to be tight.
And I don't know. Colleges are in a tough spot right now because you're putting I know a lot of these athletes kind of want to come back and play because they have something to play for. They have a reason they got to make it to the pros. They're trying to live off their scholarship here, live out the scholarship. But if you open up for sports, wouldn't you have to open up for academics as well? I know you could probably turn everything into online, but what if there's people that have to live in dorms? I can't imagine living in a dorm through this virus right now. Can you? That's a cesspool. There's no way. It might take less than a week for the virus to shut down that entire building.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think you get a lot of your foreign students from other countries that come to a lot of colleges. I think that's going to take a hit. You're going to have because you're not going to have the out of country travel. Clearly, I think I've always seen it as being a student athlete. So academics, I think, always need to come first. But who knows? I mean, I'm sure they're just going to come up with a plan. If they can't do it on campus, they're going to do something online, and then that'll be their solution. These sports teams are just going to struggle because if they're going to do testing like they say they're going to, you're going to have I heard the analogy this morning saying that, say the quarterback gets test positive. Well, now that quarterback has interacted with all the other quarterbacks on the depth chart, the offensive coordinator, half the linemen from who they practice with, any wide receivers. Now that wipes out the entire team. And then if they want them to go on a quarantine for 2 weeks, now you're going to be forfeiting games. So
it almost seems impossible. I've heard a lot about this from the NFL side, and the NFL came out and they said we expect to have positive cases, but they are going to test before and after all practices and all sessions, all games, however far we get.
Yeah.
And then if someone tests positive, they go out the door, they start testing other people more, whoever they interacted with, however that might go. And I think the interesting point with that is the Redskins rookie wide receiver, Antonio Gandy Golden. He said on March 24th, he came down and got sick with the virus for 2 weeks. He didn't have, any symptoms. He had little tiny symptoms. He knew he was sick.
Yeah.
But he self-quarantined. He's feeling better. But what if that guy is just hanging out he doesn't know he's sick? Maybe even before he gets the first test for practice, he just hangs out with his other rookie buddies or the quarterback, like you said.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, 10, 15 people are sick. He grabs the playbook from the offensive coordinator at some point. Any of that could have happened in that 2-week period.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting times, and with the very little news and sports that are going on right now, we'll be talking about this a lot more, I'm sure. A lot more coming down the pipe.
Oh.
So why you're saying Derf is Buffalo has a shot?
Oh, Dan corrected himself saying, so it's actually what instead of why. I mean, if that's the result, Buffalo having a shot, it's pretty pathetic, I think, Dan. But I think there's a little bit more talent there than needing a pandemic to give them a shot. But I'll take it.
Oh, we love when Dan interacts with the show. It's so much fun, even when he spells things wrong. So quickly, let's run through some NFL news really quickly before we start with the AFC South here, especially because some of it is Seahawks related. Devontae Freeman and I heard today Carlos Hyde have been in talks with the Seahawks. The money hasn't lined up properly yet, but the Seahawks are looking to grab another running back, especially since Rashad Penny might not even start the season with his injury he had late last season. And then Chris Carson, you never know. He's been injured 2 seasons in a row. He's had major injuries. So they're just looking to add depth. And I thought Devontae Freeman or Carlos Hyde would be interesting additions for that squad. And then also Josh Gordon is applying for reinstatement since marijuana is no longer a felony within the NFL. He'll most likely be reinstated, I would like to think. And then he's actually not still a Seahawk. I learned today he's a free agent, but he was practicing with other Seahawk players. So it almost seems like he would be coming back. He liked the environment in Seattle before he was suspended that last time. I would like to think he's coming back to Seattle. But that's just my assumption. Anything could happen, but could you imagine? I loved it when it happened for this short amount of time. It did happen, but Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf in his sophomore season, and then Josh Gordon. Let's go. Let's go. Absolutely. Yeah. That's a unit right there.
Oh, that's a 3-headed monster there.
I think the Texans would be a great addition for Josh Gordon, but that means Bill O'Brien would have to make that call, and that might be a good decision. So it's not really on his resume of making smart decisions.
Oh.
And then I think last but not least, Aldon Smith has been reinstated. Speaking of reinstated people, Aldon Smith, after his saying there was a bomb in one of the airports a long time ago, his drug issues, his beating people up issues, just any kind of offense you could possibly think of. Aldon Smith went through it back in the day, but he will play for the Cowboys this year, and it'll be his first time on the field since 2015.
Perfect.
So that'll be interesting to see if he I always liked Carlos Hyde. Not always. I mean, when he was with the 49ers, I thought he was a bruiser. I really liked what I saw from him, and obviously he has seen a downtick in his production, which is sad. I thought he had a lot of potential there for a little while. And then Freeman, I thought Tampa, when Tampa Bay first became relevant with Tom Brady going there and then Gronk, and they really started to build things up, I thought they were going to do a lot more with the offensive line and running back in the draft. I think in a couple of weeks we'll be doing that. NFC South that's actually our last week is NFC South for our divisional breakdown.
Oh, nice.
But Freeman was the first name that came up to me for Tampa. He has injury issues, but why not? I mean, why would you not want a talent like that? And I think is that the name looks familiar. I think I know who you're talking about, and I don't know when he's coming back. If I'm thinking of the right person, I'd have to look into that. And Josh Gordon might end up in Green Bay. Possibility. He can really go anywhere. It's over makes the best argument, but he liked Seattle while he was there. So I'd like to see him return to Seattle. That'd be great. So as we hit the halfway point in our show, just about, we're going to jump into some AFC South. Super exciting. So if you listen to our Tuesday episode that aired on the RTS Sports Network from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today, or just listen to it at any point, we actually had 22 plays since Tuesday.
Nice.
So a lot of people tuned in this week. So thank you all for dedicating your time to on and off the field. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely.
And if maybe we have more than 22, I don't know how well Anchor does with keeping track of that stuff for us. But if you listen to that episode, we only were able to get to the Texans and the Colts in that episode, but we had two great guests, and one of them's in here. Jason McMinn from the Whiskey Hour podcast was on the show. He was great with giving us some Texans outlook. And today we don't have any guests for the Titans or the Jags, but we're just going to give you a quick rundown, and then we're bringing in our special guest for the Texans while we do some game-by-game picks. So, Derf, what do you got for the Titans?
They shocked the NFL last year. I did not expect them to make it that far to the AFC Championship last year. They had a very simple offense, very particular defense with Mike Vrabel there. And you knew if they had a chance in the AFC Championship game, but it was that little chance. And if Ryan Tannehill didn't do better or perform better than the first two games in the playoffs, you knew it just wasn't going to happen. There was just not enough on that ammunition in that offense. There's just not enough for that defense to hold Patrick Mahomes behind. And it was like a heart-wrenching loss for them. Like, I was rooting for them. I mean, we knew the Chiefs were probably going to take it anyway, but, you always root for the underdog. And, I mean, I think they have a good season coming up. I think their last season, I think they have plenty to improve on. And I think it was definitely higher than expected as far as they made it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, heart-wrenching defeat to the Chiefs, but everyone kind of expected that loss. But for them to go up like they did, obviously the Chiefs start slow. Every single game they had to come back in the playoff run they had, but they didn't have enough. And hopefully they're thinking they have enough with signing Ryan Tannehill to the long-term deal. A.J. Brown will be in his second year. They're still going to have Derrick Henry. The only piece they did lose, which in my opinion is really going to hurt them, especially when they're going to have to probably see the Chiefs again at some point if things repeat themselves as they did last year.
Right.
Losing Logan Ryan in the secondary because he wanted $10 million plus a year. And I don't know, Logan Ryan's a nice talent, but he might get that somewhere else, but the Titans just didn't have the cap space for it. They're trying to bring in some more pass rushing talent, which they really, as far as I know, for their free agency, I don't think they've quite hit that mark yet. I think they're still out there for Clowney or Everson Griffin. They have time. They're saving their money for that. But as their draft went, it was an interesting draft. I don't know.
Yeah, it didn't look too bad. I feel like they hit on a couple needs on both sides of the line there in the first round with Isaiah Wilson from Georgia, and then going for Lilo Murchison in the fifth round there. It's kind of what they needed. They lost Jack Conklin to the Browns, so you had to kind of replace him with that. And Wilson's going to be, as from what I've heard, he's going to be a good one for them to kind of take on there. But I think they did okay. You obviously needed another quarterback, just in case, because I'm not sure who their backup quarterback is right now, but it's probably going to be this rookie if I had to guess. It's the 7th round draft pick from Cole McDonald out of Hawaii. I heard decent things about him, but I haven't heard much. And yeah, I think just going for that DB and cornerback on the defense there, I think definitely basically replacing Logan Ryan there in the draft, so not too shabby.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. They did what they needed to do with their 6 picks. I mean, only having 6 picks, you can only fill so many needs, but just their first 2 picks with Isaiah Wilson and Christian Fulton from LSU. I think those are the 2 biggest needs they had. They filled them. And then everything else, I feel like they could still use some more weapons on offense. And all they really added was Darrington Evans from Appalachian State, running back. And personally, I don't know who that is. Maybe he's good, but
yeah.
Oh, and CEO of RTS Sports Network with us, and also show of Just for Clicks. He says that he's mad at Derf because now he says he has the Bills going 11-5, which he was lighting up Derf earlier a couple months ago. Like the Bills will never go 11-5, but here we are.
Yeah.
Wow. I think Derf needs an apology, Michael. I think he has earned that. But thank you for coming to the dark side.
There you
go. Then we'll get to Titans picks here for the 2020 season feelings, but a repeat season maybe, or maybe they fall backwards again. We're not sure what might happen there. We'll give it a run later, and then the Jaguars, the one, the only jockstrap King Gardner Minshew. Yeah, that's about all I got. That's
mean, yeah.
They have a bunch of rookies. They had 8 picks. They grabbed a great corner in CJ Henderson from Florida. Yeah. They added an edge rusher in the first round as well with Kavlon Chaisson from LSU. I don't know if I said his name right, but he's a good talent out of LSU. They added some wide receiving threats. I don't think they're going to have any impact this season. This is a team that is, I'm calling them the Dolphins 2.0. They've gotten rid of everybody. They still have people to get rid of. Ngoku is still on the team. Fournette is still on the team. I'm sure they're still trying to move them, or they're working on it. But this is a team that'll go 3-13 at the best, I think.
I agree. I mean, not to think that this person they signed was any better than Gardner Minshew, but they did sign Mike Glennon to a veteran contract. Not great. I'm not saying he's great.
Mike Glennon is a sign of a team that's given up.
Pretty much.
Look at his history. If he's on a team, that team doesn't get above 500.
Yeah, I thought I saw his record somewhere starting, but I can't remember exactly what it was, so I don't want to say it. I don't want to be wrong about it. But I still think the Jags are a good spot if Cam Newton wants to go there. It's a learning opportunity. Obviously, everyone's still thinking Cam's going to the Patriots, but I think Jacksonville's would be a good spot for him. They got a lot of picks here. You can tell they're clearly rebuilding, just going for what they can. Maybe a lot of looks like maybe best player available at the time, but because they had to get rid of so many players so quickly this offseason because their cap space was so bad.
Yeah, they were a losing team with their cap space, like where the Chiefs had cap space, no cap space. But the Chiefs are a winning team, so they don't really need cap space.
Right.
The Jaguars are a terrible team with no cap space. That's that's as bad as it gets.
Yeah. And I think one thing that doesn't help their cap space there is the fact that they signed Nick Foles last year to that big contract for him. Like, Nick Foles just did not pan out, and
huge mistake.
Oh, huge mistake. But he's the Bears' problem now. So him and Mitchell Trubisky can battle it out for worst quarterback. So
that's another team that's. I feel like that's a team that has some talent, but it just seems like they have no talent. I don't know. They were in the playoffs like a year or 2 ago, 2 years ago. I think they were when the double doink.
Yep. Yes.
The infamous double doink that will haunt Matt Nagy for the rest of his life.
Oh yeah.
And hey, if Gardner Minshew becomes Ryan Fitzpatrick 2.0, I'm fine with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I love Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a top 5 favorite person in the NFL. If you're going to talk just personalities, he's a top 3, maybe not 2, something like that. I'd have to go through my list, but I love him, so I'm fine with that comparison. So, as we wrap up, those are the 2 teams we couldn't get to on Tuesday. So, if you want to get in depth with the Texans and the Colts, go back to Tuesday's episode. But we're also going to hit up on the Texans right now with our special guest. Let's click buttons here. I got to click a couple buttons here. We have to bring in, click another button. Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
Is it Duran?
It's Duran, yeah.
Duran. Kevin
Very nice.
Duran. What's going
Yes, sir.
on? Welcome to the show.
Howdy.
Well, how you doing today? It's just
I'm doing good. Excited to finally talk about the Texans,
yeah, we're excited
definitely.
to have you here.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
I mean, we talked a lot about the Texans on Tuesday, and the general sense that we got from Jason on Tuesday was massive disappointment. to put it in one way and put it in terms that at least how I understood Jason. And do you have that same feeling? I mean, if we talk about that crushing loss to the Chiefs in the playoffs, and then how the offseason's gone with DeAndre Hopkins leaving, I mean, where's your head kind of at right now? Do you trust this team to succeed?
See, I think it's the complete opposite. I see a lot of potential in the Texans this year. And they lost DeAndre, which sucks. He was a top 3 receiver for like the past 5 since for the past couple of years he's been a top 3 receiver. But I think getting Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb was a good replacement. And I think getting David Johnson was an amazing pickup. I'm a huge fan of David Johnson, so I think they will do way better than they did last season, which is a huge stretch. But I see a lot of potential in this team.
I think a lot of this team kind of relies on, like you just said, your faith in David Johnson. If you're a fan of David Johnson, and also if you're a fan of Randall Cobb and a Will Fuller fan, and if you think J.J. Watt will stay healthy, I guess it's if you're is the glass half full or half empty kind of person. If you trust in these players, because I know Jason didn't really believe in David Johnson that much and didn't think much of Randall Cobb. So if you're going to the other side of the glass,
I mean, I think Carlos Hyde didn't work out last season, and I mean we all knew that. But we kept Duke Johnson, who I thought he really worked out with the team last year. And I think having 2 powerful running backs, 2 power backs in the backfield is going to really work out for them. It is really relying on if the team can stay healthy, especially with Brandon Cooks, who I was so happy we picked up Brandon Cooks. I mean, other than last year, he didn't play full season, but every year he's played a full season, he's put over 1,000 yards. And he's been a valuable receiver for most of the teams he's been with, except last season was a fluke, but then again, his receptions were half of what he usually has. He only had 42 receptions last season. And compared to like the season before, we had 80, and then his stats were literally cut in half. So hoping that he can be the number 1 receiver, him and Fuller. I mean, I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith in Brandon Cooks. I have a lot of faith in Tim Kelly, especially as the new offensive coordinator, especially the offensive coordinator and making the play calls. It really just depends on how much power B.O.B. gives Tim Kelly when it comes to the offense. He's been with the Texans since like 2014, and he's worked with the team, so he knows the team really well, and he's a lot younger than B.O.B. And I think Tim Kelly's going to change the way we play offense, especially with more options. You didn't have Will Fuller last year for most of the season, and you were really relying on just DeAndre. Now that you have Brandon Cooks, hopefully a healthy Will Fuller, a Randall Cobb, Kiki Kuti, Kenny Stills, I think the receiving core is very underrated, and it really does depend on if they can stay healthy. But I have a lot of faith in the team, and like I said, if they can stay healthy, I think they're going to be very underrated.
Yeah,
and then with their draft picks as well, they've been working on the defense. It is a lot of faith. I will admit, it's a lot of you have to have faith in the team.
Yeah, and I feel like they definitely had to kind of go into the offseason kind of a little heavy, I think, for the Texans because, they didn't have a lot of draft picks for this year. Like, they only had 5. And they kind of just – they did what they could, but still seems like a head-scratcher to me a little bit there. But, it sounds like it's a little bit half and half with the Texans fans. kind of it's either like we said, like Dylan said earlier, it said half of them are half glass full, half of them are half glass empty. I think it's going to be interesting. Like you said, staying healthy for a lot of these players is key to production. It'll be interesting to see how Tim Kelly does as a coordinator and see if they can they really get to like unlock Deshaun Watson's full potential and like have him stay healthy, have him just be that pocket passer with having that mobility option. I really think it's going to be interesting to see what they do this year.
100%. I really do. I really want to see how Watson performs. I mean, he had a less substantial, he regressed a little bit last season, but like I said, he has more options this year. Really, he was really relying on DeAndre for most of the season, and you can do that with DeAndre. DeAndre is a receiver that you can rely on. Like he's proven that since he's been in the league. But a healthy Brandon Cooks has also proven that, and a healthy Will Fuller has also been a monster on the field. And Kenny Stills has come in when we need him, especially in the first game of the season against the Saints. Kenny Stills really showed that he was like worth the pick. You know what I'm saying? I think Deshaun has more options. I think he has a way better season. And he's always been in the MVP race for the first half of the season. But again, relying on injuries and hopefully everyone can stay healthy, bold prediction, I think Deshaun could be in the MVP race easily this year. Just because he has more options. And he's mobile.
Yeah, I think the running game is going to help with that too. So, I mean, if you really 100%. Do trust David Johnson, then yeah, I could see that if he gets back into that form that he had when he first entered the league before the injury bug hit him.
Oh yeah, and that's another thing. We got to hope he can. We really haven't seen him. He's always been injured since that one monster season he had a couple seasons ago, and then he started getting hurt like season after season. Got replaced by Kenyon Drake last season. But I think he fits the mold for the Texans offense really well. Him and Duke Johnson are going to be very reliable in the backfield, more than Johnson and Hyde were last season.
The Duke. I've always been a Duke Johnson fan myself. But let's see how well they do. Let's do some predictions for the Texans. So I was thinking it'd be a really fun way to do this. We'll take every other game. So, Kevin, I'll give you week 1, and then Derf, you can do week 2. I'll do week 3, and we'll just kind of push on from there. Let's see if we can kind of come up with a record that we all agree on.
All right. Yeah. Week 1, that's the first few weeks are very scary. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's a tough stretch.
Full type of Texans fan, it's a very scary first 2 weeks just in general. I don't think they'll clutch. They won't clutch a dub in Kansas City. It's like Super Bowl champs, Sunday Night Football. I think they'll have to work some kinks out week 1, and I don't think Kansas City is the team to work some kinks out and win a game. I don't see them winning week 1 at all.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Chiefs coming up hyped off of that Super Bowl win. That's tough.
Oh, yeah. Baltimore and Houston, that's going to be a tough rematch from last year, the way it panned out. But I'm going to take Baltimore on that one. I just think the Ravens are going to struggle on that one. Or, not the Ravens, the Texans are going to struggle on them again.
Yeah, fair point.
Oh, yeah,
I feel like this is their first real chance here. Week 2, Lamar still got fresh legs, so he can still run all over teams.
It's really going to come to see how the defense can stop Lamar, and if you can't stop Lamar, you can't beat the Ravens. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Week 3, I think they'll get their first win against the Steelers.
Oh, you do?
I don't know. I don't want to see them go 0-3, to be quite honest. That's exactly why I think they'll beat the Steelers.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. I see that as a defensive struggle right there. That's going to be one of those games that's like 10-6, if that. Teams that I think the Steelers' offense is going to be a real struggle this season, but that defense is still like at least top 3.
I could see this being the first game where like Tim Kelly shows that their offense is the real deal. Like the first 2 games were just the hardest games of the season. Like I'm not a big Steelers fan, and I think they're starting to just slowly die off and start rebuilding. And I think Tim Kelly sees that, and I think Tim Kelly is going to just show that Deshaun and Brandon Cooks and David and Duke, I think they're gonna have a monster game week 3, and they're gonna show that they're not like a push team. Like first 2 games might have been a loss, but I could definitely see them beating the Steelers week 3.
All right, Derf, what do you got for week 4?
Ooh, it's gonna be a close one, but they're in Houston against the Vikings. I don't think the Vikings travel well on the road. I mean, granted, they did beat the Saints in the playoffs there at the end of the Saints season. I think with them getting
kind of a curse.
Yeah, I feel like if the Texans are getting their first win against the Steelers, I think they're gonna take that rolling into back home, and they'll get the win against the Vikings.
All right, that'll be an interesting game. We'll see if the Vikings offense is clicking yet at that point.
Yeah,
with their new wide receiver Justin Jefferson, see if they can mend with him with Kirk Cousins, and see if Dalvin Cook is also rolling. But I don't know if I would 100% agree, but at this point we have a 3-win stretch then, because I think the Texans take out the Jaguars. Obviously, I think the Jaguars are looking at a rough season.
Yeah.
All right, so week 6, who do you got, Kevin?
In Tennessee, I think Derrick Henry's going to have another great season. I don't think Tannehill's going to be as great as he was last season. But in Tennessee, I think Houston might lose that one. I don't think they're going to do good on the road. I think they're going to be a little bit too hot-headed with a 3-game stretch, and I think Derrick Henry is going to just exploit their defense. Their defense is not what it used to be, and I think Derrick Henry can easily run over the Texans' defense.
All right, yeah, I get it. I think looking at week 7 here, I'm taking the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers is gonna. He's got something on his mind this year, and he's coming for vengeance.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's definitely playing with a chip on.
We've already talked about them. Yeah, as long as he doesn't break another collarbone, he'll be good.
There you go.
But after their bye week, they get done sweeping Jacksonville. In my
100%.
opinion.
Yeah.
So week 10, Cleveland.
I could see Houston beating Cleveland. I'm not a Baker fan. I hate on Baker. I just don't like Cleveland. I think Houston is a better team. It's just straight off the stats and the team alone, they're just a way better team. I don't really have an argument for that.
They're an interesting team over there in Cleveland.
They're just a mess in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Oh, and then week 11, the Patriots come to town in week 11.
Could be interesting.
How's Jared Stidham going to be doing on that offense? I mean, the defense is great. Bill Belichick's going to do his thing. I think it's going to be a loss for the Texans at home against the Patriots.
Ooh.
Oh,
Flip it. Go to the other one. Stupid computer. Well, I think this is the Thanksgiving game, is it not, in week 12? Houston at Detroit?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that sounds right. So
that's going to be a good one. I'm a fan of Kenny Galladay. Not a fan of Matt Stafford. I think the Lions are developing, but I don't think they're at the level the Texans are at when it comes to offense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not too sure about the Lions' defense and how they're looking. I didn't really keep up with the Lions last season or like their draft picks, but I think the Texans will take it just because I think they have a better offense, a more developed offense, so to say, and just a little bit more talent. I could definitely see it being a very offensive game, though. I don't have much hope on the Texans' defense this year, I will admit.
Don't have hope on the Texans' defense, but I have even less hope on the Detroit Lions' defense. Put that up there. We got week 13, Derf.
I'm taking the Colts on this one. I think the Colts are just building something there, and I just think this is going to be the year where they go toe to toe with the Texans and they just knock them in the mouth.
All right. I think they bounce back, even though they're on the road. They might have to go to Chicago later in the season, but I feel like Chicago was a mess. I'll take Houston to beat that disaster over there. Even though if they have a good defense, I don't really care. All right, week 15, Kevin, against the Colts, rematch time.
I think they'll beat the Colts. They always struggle with the Colts. The Colts are their kryptonite for sure when it comes to conference play. But I think the Texans, they want to win the AFC South again, and to do that you have to be the Colts. And I think they're going to buckle down, especially if they do lose to the Colts the first time. And even if it is a road game, I can see them beating the Colts that week, just to make sure they win the AFC South.
Yeah, you could definitely be looking at like a division. If you lose that game, you could be looking at losing a division at that point, with them being at 7-6 at that point. That could be a make or break for the division game. So if they fight hard in week 15, that could help them win the division there. That'd be a good game.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the week 16 here, we got Cincinnati coming into Texans Stadium. Joe Burrow versus J.J. Watt. Joe Burrow getting that little experience there from Watt. I think Texans they'll get the win against the Bengals here.
Get the win against the Bengals. And then to round out the season, the Titans at home. Another one of the Texans have one of those good schedules where they got division games near the end of the season. If this is the one, go to 10-6. Maybe the Titans and Texans are 9-6 at this point. This one could be for the division. I give the division to Tennessee personally. I mean, since this is a big game, who would you take, Kevin?
Same how I said that the Colts are the Texans' kryptonite. I do think the Texans are the Titans' kryptonite. They struggle with the Texans. I think BOB has them figured out by now. And again, if it does come down to this and for the division, I think they can pull some strings, get it together. I think Deshaun he works really well under pressure. And if this is a high pressure game, I think he'll put up some amazing numbers to win the division.
Yeah, so that's what we're looking at. That game basically is whoever wins is getting
the division.
Yeah, winning the division, looking at a 3 seed, 4 seed maybe, and the other one's looking at a wild card if they're lucky.
Oh yeah, hopefully. Yeah. I feel like whoever wins out of the Titans and the Texans, one of them will end up in the wild card, just like last season.
All right, so we're looking at either 10-6 or 9-7, which is still a pretty good record, especially for a tough division, having to go against the Colts and the Titans this year. So the Jaguars are just doing their own thing. But thanks for coming on the show, though, Kevin. We appreciate your time. Thank you. I don't know if you have a shout out. Is everybody on the line? Your show, a podcast, anything like that?
Yeah, that's actually my podcast. I have it on Spotify, Apple Music, or Apple Podcast. I put out episodes about once a week. NFL, college football is my main go-to. But I cover all sports, just in general.
All right.
Nice.
Mainly Texas sports because I'm located in Texas. It's A&M, Texans, SEC football.
Nice.
Well, everybody go check out Everybody on the Line with Kevin Duran. Or did I say it right time? Right.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show again. Everybody go check out his show, and we'll be sure to have you back if we're ever talking Texans again.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. And we're gonna wrap up the show here in the last couple of minutes as well. We were at least able to get through their entire schedule this time instead of having to cut it halfway like last week.
Yeah.
We had the comments lit up with Jameson Joseph Jackson.
Yeah,
he had the Texans going 0-4 to start out. Both games against the Jaguars, beating Chicago, beating the Bengals, beating the Titans, beating the Patriots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins. He said 6-10 for the Texans from Jameson in the comment section. and he says the Lions are going to be a surprise this year as well. I've heard a couple people say that.
Yeah.
What do you think about the Lions?
I mean, I think they're gonna be a surprise. I just don't know what kind of surprise we're beginning with them. Matt Patricia. I think he's on his way out.
It sure seems like it. Yeah, they drafted kind of good. They had okay draft. They grabbed another running back, which this team might become a running team real quick with Matt Stafford's health. But yeah, that's our AFC South episode for the entire week. You know, we hit 2 teams on Tuesday, 2 teams today, along with extra Texans bonus footage with our guest. So we'll give you the wrap up here. You know, make sure you still follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube now, on Off the Field on YouTube. This video will be there. Tuesday's video is there. Exclusive content that wasn't in our published video or published episode. So if you ever want to hit us up, make sure you leave us some DMs and social media and in the comments section and on onandoffthefield.com. Also go to rtfsportsnetwork.com for the greatest talent in sports media. Chris Sims is not a part of the network, and I'll never allow it. Derf, as we wrap up the AFC South and the Jaguars.
All hail the Jockstrap King.